speaking of Buffett, I think he said something great. I don't know if it was just in their recent annual shareholders meeting or it was in an interview before, but he said money can't buy me time.
Yes.
What's the point of money then?
Yes.
So, and that sort of, if you're at a point, and I'm curious, I put this on LinkedIn a few days ago. I'm curious what your thought on it is. I said that, uh, to my experience so far, money is everything up until when you don't need money to buy normal things, because money to a certain point allows you to buy back your own time, because it allows you to only do exactly what you want to do with the people you want to do, when you want to do it, where you want to do it. But once you have all of that and you have some of the material things that you want, it the level of impact drops off so steep. It's like a roller coaster ride. Do you have similar thoughts on that?
So, I've done more work on myself over the past 3 years than my entire life. Once I hit 40, I really started to, okay, I need a psychologist, therapist person to talk to. I need a really making my head as good as my physical. I think part of what makes me tick is what hurts me, right? Like when I go on vacation, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare because my head is like I've trained myself to have like at least this workplace and life ADD, boom, 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 doing this all over the place, pads of stuff and writing down and strategy and this and that. I
Right.
wake up and every day is a program madness. So you can't tell me that 20 days a year I can possibly slow down. I can't.
Right.
It's like, so then how do I replace that? It is not doable for me to slow down. So I need to slow down. I need to go at the same speed, not doing work. How do I do that? Am I reading a book? Am I doing, so that to me is the greatest challenge right now. How do I give my kids an hour and a half of undevoted time? um
Totally.
Staying in the moment and doing that, and those are my greatest challenges. So I become a coach, a baseball coach, because I can't take out my phone if I'm a baseball coach, which then puts me in the uncomfortable position of people always think they can get me, and then I have to get over the agita of knowing that I'm not taking the phone out of my pocket for an hour and a half. So there's this whole challenge that I feel like I need to do to be the person other than the worker that I am, and
Right.
that's the greatest challenge in my life right now.
I think, one of the things that I admire most about you is just that you've been able to do exactly what you've wanted for such a long period of time, which I think is, super rare.
Every day to me is a joke, right? Every day to me is I love what I do. I love what I do. I love what I
Right.
report on. I love what I create. I love what I buy. I love what I sell. It's now it's been interesting. Like you have to convince people. Luckily, the money has followed what I've wanted to do, right? Like I want to be a sports business reporter, and that happens, and I think fans need to know more about the business of sports. I want to report on the business of food, at ballparks. Well, owners realize that the dirty water dog isn't the the best way to make money anymore. That changes, right? And then I want to report on memorabilia and cards, and the money's there, right? So it's enabled me to everything that I love. I mean, the money's followed. So that's what's been so great and so gratifying, and why, although someone said to me yesterday, I'm surprised you've lasted this long in this business, considering you've been hardcore social media for a decade. Like not many people, were at the beginning of the social media generation, but you started fighting with people in 2010. And the truth is I'm tired, I'm tired, but the fact that I have fun is what keeps me alive. I've never been burnt out.
Well, the difference also is that your content isn't all about you. And that's why it's, there's this
Well, that's
innate
true.
ability.
You're right. You're right. The new social media content for influencers is all about you.
Right.
You
And
know?
that's why it's impossible to last over a long period of time unless you're doing things like a podcast, right? The only influencers that I can think of who have lasted 10 plus years are people whose either A, content doesn't revolve around them, or B, it's talking to people who aren't them.
That's true. I think that's a really interesting, that's true. I mean, because you either run out or people run out of you.
Exactly. Or the alternative happens. I was just talking about this on the show with Dan Porter, who's the founder of Overtime. And we came to the conclusion that if your content is around you, then what you're going for is a dopamine based reaction. So you're going for oohs and ahs and laughs.
Yep.
And like, whoa. But if your content is dopamine driven, then your audience, unless it gets more extreme, your audience gets desensitized to that reaction, to what content you're putting out. So you have to get more and more and more extreme. But the byproduct of getting more extreme is the increased likelihood of A, getting burnt out, or B, getting canceled, because you're getting closer to that line of what's responsible, irresponsible, what's legal, what's illegal, or hurting somebody physically, emotionally.
That's crazy.
Ways.
That's true.
That's
That is
why
true.
I think that it is literally impossible for any model, influencer, YouTuber who is just doing stuff around themselves to stand the test of time like a Darren Rovell or a Joe Rogan or a whomever has, truthfully.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I guess I am the commentator and people are watching me
Yep.
commentate on something else and they are following me for what they know. Like they say, I know what his take's going to be. I know where he's going to go, but it's good that he became the first person to eat a white chocolate whoopie pie. Right. So, so it's not, right. I get that. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. And it's funny how people on Twitter are always like, you always make it about you. I'm like, no, I make it about my opinion of something else or my take on something else. It's not my take on myself. It's not, I usually 95% of the time my camera's flipped around looking at something, not at me.
Right. And I think, the mixture of that also, you being somebody whom A, everybody knows and they know what you look like. You've done, you sent me an interview of you with LeBron like 10 or 5 years ago, whatever,
13 years ago.
That was 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I know.
That's crazy. But, things like that. So it's the combination. That's that. But one of the last things I wanted to talk about, you mentioned, the difficulty of being able to like put phones away and things like that. I always looked at it from the standpoint of like everybody who's like you or like myself or enjoys business, is in business, should look at themselves as an A-list rapper in the regard of their time. These guys are so exclusive. I've spent time around a few bigger rappers, and the way that these people move around, they interact with their teams, don't talk to anybody outside of their inner circles is incredible. Nobody can contact Travis Scott. Nobody can get to him. It's like that.
Yeah, how do you undo that? That's the problem. How do you?
What do you mean undo it?
I mean, you have to set. No, you're saying you have to set up a thing so that it looks like them. You have to set up a structure like them.
No, you being the baseball coach is you being an A-list rapper.
Oh, yeah. You have to have moments where you can't be reached.